A lot of people have asked me why I train knife combatives and knife-based martial arts, and there are many reasons. But first of all, I'd like to get this out of the way. I hate the term knife fighting, but I use it because it tells people what I'm talking about. I would say a better term might be combative knife handling. However, that's a mouthful, and when I say knife fighting, people know what I mean, even though there is really no such thing as a knife fighter per se. People get into knife violence, but that's a different story. Completely different than the sporting aspect and the play that you see Keith and I doing in here. However, why do we do this? Why do we train this way? Why do we train with edged weapons or, well, let's face it, blunted replicas of edged weapons? The reasons are actually many. From a fighting perspective, there is very few things that train range, distance, and timing better than this kind of play. There was even a video of MMA legend George St. Pierre training this kind of stuff to develop better range, better timing, better coordination, better interception, and all the things that come with this kind of training. There is a lot that you get out of this. There is a lot of benefit beyond the actual training for weapons fighting. Unfortunately, in this modern era of MMA, people often fail to look beyond the obvious and the surface in martial arts. If it's not applicable immediately in fighting, they don't understand its value. You have to train to understand the value of something like this as far as it goes for transferable skills in other areas of martial arts. However, some of us view the knife as a tool that can be improvised to be used in the worst case scenario of violence where people are bringing lethal force against us. Now, there is a problem with that. Knives do not immediately shut a person down. Knives need time to bleed out a person to the point where they lose consciousness. It also requires a lot of shock into organs and things like this. And most of us are completely unwilling to do something this horrific to another human being, regardless if we're fighting for our lives or not. Knife violence is horrible. It is horrifying to see. It would be horrifying to do. Most people who teach this have never used a knife in fighting, myself included. I have faced a knife once, but that's another story. And I've trained people who've disarmed knives on the job as law enforcement officers, and one civilian who was mugged in Edmonton, or attempted to be mugged in Edmonton, strong arm robbery, whatever you want to call it. People I have trained have faced the blade and managed to disarm it. This is something I'm quite proud of, but it doesn't mean my training helped them. But I believe this kind of training helps you understand the chaos that is involved. You understand how easy it is to get cut, how hard it is to not get cut when you train this way. So you would be hesitant to put yourself in danger facing an edged weapon. You would be hesitant to risk your life if you understand the realities of this for property or ego. And that's one of the best benefits of training with these kinds of blunted tools that we can use to mimic a knife fight. And that's the best we can do. We can only mimic things, and we can never replicate the reality of it. We could never replicate the emotions that would go on, the fear, the horror at being sliced and cut and stabbed. All we can do is try to keep our training as realistic as possible, add up the amounts of times we would take mortal wounds, we would take grievous bodily harm in a training session. However, beyond the reality of knife violence, there are other reasons to train this way. One is fun. It is very enjoyable to find like-minded individuals and play like this. This training is playful, it is social, and it gets us moving. We get our heart rates up, we move around, we get some cardio in this, we get some laughter, we have some fun, we get to learn to trust one another and to give feedback to each other, and help each other grow as martial artists. This is an incredible social environment. It is a place where people can come and have a good time, and people of all different walks of life. So you get to learn and know different outlooks on life, and you develop a lot of friendships through this, because when you build trust through training, when you build trust through helping each other, pushing each other, and taking a little bit of risk and having these small bruises, sprained fingers, a little bit of injury, but supporting each other through it, and having to control aggression. Learn to control aggression with one another. We become tighter friends because we're learning trust. There's amazing social benefits to martial arts in general, and this kind of martial arts as well. Some of the friendships I've gained through training Filipino martial arts, knife combatives, and knife-based systems, as well as traditional martial arts and pugilism, have been great friendships that have lasted a lifetime. There is something amazing about practicing warrior skills with one another, even if we're just LARPing a bit. This actually is just scratching the surface of the benefits of this kind of training. Perhaps the most important thing is it's a lot of fun. Now, if you're interested in the combative use of knives and other weapons, please support my Patreon. I have detailed lessons in there on this and other subjects. Thank you.